Hmm? Ah! Oh. Welcome to the show. My name is Alex.
And I'm Lizzie. I'm here.
And you are here, and so are we. And today, this is What is From Cast, a cast dedicated to the MGM Plus show From. And we are on a roll because we are talking episode 5, season 2, Lullaby. And we have been chomping at the bit to not go ahead because it is getting pretty juicy. What do you think there, Lizzie?
It is so painful. You know what, Alex? I made a vow to you that I would not go ahead until we podcasted. And the first thing I'm going to do is watch episode 6.
Absolutely.
As soon as we're done. And so, hey, it was nice. Let's all see you.
I know, right? Show's over. We're out.
Episode 5 was great, as usual. I'm out.
Well, it was a really good episode. I mean, I know it seems like we're giving fan service, but there hasn't been a bad one in the bunch. And
yeah, because I don't know. I don't know if we're bringing with us like Walking Dead fans that are coming over where you knew there were like filler episodes.
Yeah.
And I just don't see this as that type of show where it's a filler episode. I see that every frame is meaningful and advances the story, even though you don't realize it at the time. And to say that it's a filler episode, I mean, no disrespect, but I just feel like you're just not being patient enough.
Well, I think this particular episode did move the story a little bit further with some characters and other characters, But what was your first thoughts of the episode?
I think it's the same with all the episodes. I just want to go back and rewatch it again.
Yeah.
The thing that kind of gets me, I'm a little bummed out about, more than a little bummed out about this, is that, overall, like if I don't do something when I'm thinking about it, I'll forget. And last night when I was doing my notes for this, and I watched the episode, I watch it twice and then I write. And so last night I watched the episode, and then when I started writing, something was coming out to me. And I was like, I need to pull out this character, and this character. And then you and I went and did that podcast last night, which at the moment the name is escaping me, but we were telling ghost stories.
It's a fandom thing.
Oh, it's a
podcast. And I have to say, Aaron, I have to actually do this. Oh yeah. Aaron does a great job.
Yeah.
She also doesn't podcast on the show as much as she just does celebrity interviews because it's a hot show. And she was nice enough to put us on towards the end talking about ghost stories. And I had a ball. You guys scared the crap out of me. And it was
Alex, I want to tell you a ghost story.
Yeah, okay. And that's the show, folks, because I am not.
No, this is a quick one, sort of. All right. But I wanted to tell it last night. Are you going to cry?
I don't want to hear a ghost story, but okay.
No, I don't want to terrify you. This one might freak you out.
Well, I don't need freaking out. You know what? That'll be in the show notes, and that'll be in the, it'll be in the, I don't know what, but it's going to be somewhere.
You know what? I have an idea. At the very end of the show, you walk away for a minute. I will tell the story, and then you come back.
That's okay. I think that I'm going to end up hearing the story anyways.
Not if it's at the end, because you don't need to.
I edit the show.
Just fast forward to me.
But
I won't tell the story. I won't tell. I don't want to freak
okay.
you up because, like,
That's okay. But
but
you know what though? I do want to say this before we do get started is we started a subscriber wall, and we have Sam from Boston, and I want to just
I
shout
know,
him out.
Sam, you're from Boston. You're a masshole like me.
Exactly. And he pledged his I guess support, if you want to call that what we
Oh,
are
it
doing
is
here.
support.
And
Yes.
he's part of our frumily, so to speak, here on the podcast. And I just can't thank you enough. And folks, if you guys are if you like the podcast and you want to give us a review, that's great. If you want to subscribe to us on YouTube, or if you want to help the show out to pay for all this wonderfulness, that would be great as well. So Sam, thank you so much. And hopefully you'll get home before the bell rings, because we don't want any monsters getting to you.
Yeah.
But that said, I did want to start in the show, and I wanted to talk about the thing that we were talking about all week, which is what is going to happen to Randall.
Yeah.
And it was without a doubt, hands down, one of the best scenes in the whole entire series. I call it Saturday Night Live starring Randall, because that son of a gun doesn't take crap from anybody. And I think these monsters have met his match. And
I don't know.
meaning this,
Yeah.
in this sense, the survivors are starting to get a lot more aggressive, because they're a lot more comfortable with the rules of the monsters. And we saw it in Fatima. She lost her stuff.
Yeah.
We've seen it a couple of times. And he's in the bus. The old lady is at the door. He's just about to open up the door, and he stops.
Yeah.
And they could not, the best part was all the monsters could not have been any better, because they didn't lose character. I mean, they were all, they were just calm and whatever, and
But
they're 60.
This is part of their game, though.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
And he is just like, screw you. I got the rock. The rock. You can't do anything. And then they start walking away. He's like, you don't walk away from me. You don't walk away from me. And they realize that he's no fun. They can't play.
No, that's not it. That's not what they're realizing at all.
What?
They are thrilled. They're thrilled. This is the game. This is them playing with him. Because instead of being like, oh my God, and cowering on the floor and listening to them, notice like they're out there and, Nana's tapping on the window and the whole thing. They're taunting him. So he's laying on the floor, and finally he gets to a point where he's had enough. So he gets up there, he puts on his shield, which is, I'm badass Randall. And he goes up and he's like, you don't scare me. You don't scare me. Like, I'm bigger than you. I'm badder than you, blah, blah, blah. They're all looking at him. One of them's humming Frere Jogka, right? Nana is just like, I will make you milk and cookies. And the nurse is like, bye. Like the mechanic is waving.
Oh, I know. It was so crazy.
The groom is there. So we got Nana, groom, mechanic, waitress,
the nurse.
Right? And the milkman. They're all looking at him smiling. And the thing was, like, I was thinking about this. Like, what did Kelly say? They want to play with me. They told me they were going to play with me. They're playing with him. They're toying with him, right? They didn't cower. He didn't cower. But the thing is, Randall is not all that tough. Well, he is all bravado.
Well, one of the things that Kenny said last season, which is really, I think, the best thing about the monsters, it's like playing chess.
Yeah.
They're just waiting for him to have a moment of weakness, and then they're going to stomp all over him. But regardless of that, it was the great scene, and I loved every second.
It totally was. Like, the second he steps out of that bus, he ain't going to be so tough.
Oh, yeah. No.
But, like, him coming up and fronting like that just eggs them on more.
Well,
Because if they really wanted him, they would have stayed at the bus.
they
But
would
they
have shaken
didn't.
the bus. They would have done all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Like
Like they did with
instead they
Boyd.
walked away.
Like
Yeah.
they did with Boyd and in the first episode when they were in the RV. But what I just want to jump ahead just to his storyline because it was hysterical. All hell is breaking loose from land. Boyd
It's
walks.
always, yeah.
No, but Boyd walks by, and what does he see? He sees Randall lifting a chair up to the top of the roof so he can, like, roast some wieners and have a nice view. So I love the fact that he's embracing his hotel on wheels. And
yeah, I mean, he's making the most of it, and he wants to be. The thing is, I don't think that he wants to be alone.
No.
This is the corner he always paints himself into. And the thing that we saw, with the monsters makes me really feel like that is Sarah's ex-boyfriend. It really makes me feel.
I don't know.
I mean, I could be totally wrong, but that would be the kind of guy that she'd be running away from, that Nathan would have had to come save her from.
Absolutely. No. I mean,
because he would pick someone he knew was weaker than him.
And the thing about that whole storyline is it is pretty funny, though, that everybody doesn't know that Sara is back.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just get into that if you don't mind. Unless did you want to get to Sara?
Well, since we were talking about Randall, I just want to make sure.
I mean, his storyline really is really.
I mean, it's a quick one. Like, it's just two things. Like,
that's what I mean.
It's like, if you notice when Donna even brought him there, like, he's used to people backing down to him, like the guy that he beats for going through his stuff. That guy doesn't rise up and get in his face, right? But Donna gets right in his face. Like, if someone goes head to head, he'll fight. He won't back down. But he did back down to Donna.
Well, he said to her, "Are you done waving? Are you done swinging your dick?"
Yeah, but the thing was, he backed down to her when he stayed in the bus.
Right.
He knew he couldn't go back up to that house.
Right. He had nowhere else to go.
Yeah. So he responds to strength.
Right.
And he was just like, fine, you know what? I've been here before. I'll make the most of it. I'm always being put out. That's his self-protecting attitude. All right. So where did you want to go? I was thinking Boyd. Or did you want to go to Sara?
I mean, I would rather just go to Sara and.
Okay.
So the news is and this kind of relates to Boyd too. So the news is out. And after that, we get Tabitha and Jim. They're storming the castle in this case, or storming the church, and Boyd is there, and all hell's breaking loose because Tabitha has beef, Jim has beef, and then Boyd is just trying to, keep everything.
Yeah, and no one's happy that this girl is back in town.
Not even her.
Not even her. Yeah, exactly. Like, she's resigned to going in the box. She's not fighting anything. She doesn't fight any ill treatment.
I don't know if she's I don't know if that's the case. And I think it is the case, but I think that there's also something else is that going back to what Ethan said, she did what she was there to do. Now she's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can package that. Yeah. She's not a monster anymore. She did what she had to do, and now she's done, and now she needs to exit stage left. Yeah. The only person that doesn't realize that is Boyd. But I think Boyd had a really funny conversation with the Matthews because they're talking about Sara and, putting her in the box. And he's like, wait a second here. Some guy put a friggin' tower on Colony House to call home. Now I went into the wilderness and everybody's looking for me for answers. And he's like, we got a lot going on here. So dealing with her is like priority 10 on a list of priorities that are a lot bigger than her. And I just thought that was an interesting conversation that he had,
Yeah.
because he's kind of right in certain ways. The murderer is kind of secondary to all the shit that's going down.
Well, he's spending time protecting her, you know. And the Matthews have, a real concern with this girl being back in town. She killed 4 people, or, like she killed 4 people, and it was almost 5. She was going to kill Ethan.
Right.
And they've already lost one child, and they're stuck in this godforsaken place. Like, they are understandably very upset. And it makes me wonder what they would have done if Sara was in the church by herself versus Boyd being there.
I think Jim is the voice of reason, where Tabitha is just Mama Bear.
Yeah. I mean, it just
Okay,
makes
I have a silly question about her.
Yeah.
I should say the Matthews family. So Tabitha has clearly a thick Spanish accent.
I don't hear it. Well, I mean, I hear it a little. Yeah.
Why don't the kids have? I mean, and I know this is like a little
If
thing.
Jim doesn't speak Spanish, they're not going to grow up.
Okay.
All
right. Thank you for clearing that for. It's just, it's one of those things. Like, I was like thinking about it. I was watching. I'm like, shouldn't they have some kind of like?
Well, but there's no purpose. There hasn't been a purpose. But the thing about it is that I had a Puerto Rican sister-in-law. With both of her children, she would speak Spanish and English with them, from the beginning.
Right.
Dad did not speak Spanish. So unless a parent is doing that and reinforcing that language all the time. But then also some families, when they arrive in the US and English is the spoken language, they're trying to assimilate.
So and that's what happened to my family. My family, 4th generation, were Americans. No Arabic, no nothing. We were just all Americans. Totally get that. It was just one of those things, like in the back of my mind. It just like kind of hit there.
That's cool.
Yeah. So Sara, they have that moment, and then everybody leaves, and then Sara decides to take a little walk around the town, and she goes back to her old house. And I thought this was really strange. This whole scene was like really bizarre to me. I mean, not that much time has passed. Okay, they replaced the house with, new people, Okay, fine.
Yeah, because I like, at first I'm like, they have an empty house with all these people.
Well, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So she takes the jacket, and I just think it was a little much.
What was the deal with the jacket? I mean,
it was Nathan's jacket.
I know, but they were insistent.
I know.
He not have that jacket. And the only thing I can think of was that it was a territorial, you're a murderer, get out of the house type of thing.
It was like, dude, I was here like a week ago. Yeah, you haven't been here like a day.
Yeah.
I just thought,
but you know how people get,
No, I know. I thought that if there was a criticism in the whole entire show episode, it was like, lady, what is your deal?
I love how the woman was like way more bulldog than the guy.
Oh, I know. And he's
like, he's like, you have to get out. You can't be here.
We didn't want your stuff here. We gave it to the lady at the diner. Yeah. And she's like, get the fuck out of my house.
I know. She was just like, just walks over, grabs the jacket, and Sarah's like, all right, I'm out. And I love how Sarah's like, wait a minute, did you happen to see this ornament? Like, stops to ask about that. I'm like, Sara, they're not going to tell you anything. They just want you out of the house. That was are nada. So get out.
I understand why they put it in there to kind of show that everybody's against her, but that was a little too much.
It did kind of go on. The only thing that really didn't, I wish it was a faster paced kind of thing, but the jacket thing was weird.
Okay, I thought it was me, and I'm like,
No, no, the jacket thing was weird. I could see why she would want it because Nathan had just been wearing it, you know, and not that much time has passed. His smell could still be in it. Um, he arrived with that, and this place is just very communal.
and it was
I
the
felt that,
town. It wasn't Colony House. That's why I was even
yeah,
more upset about it.
yeah, no, I know. And the other thing is, I was like, with 22 more people landing in that town, only two people are in that house. And then I was thinking, wow, this house looks just like the Matthews house with the front porch, and you walk in and, a parlor and the dining table. And I was just thinking, I'm like, you know what? This was some kind of factory town. That's because because
Yeah.
being in the Northeast, everything was very factory mill driven for a long time.
Well,
And
Hershey, when we went to took the Hershey tour,
yeah,
Mr. Hershey basically bought a plot of land, but made a bunch of houses, and then built a factory around it. They
right,
were all cookie cutter.
exactly. Yeah. And it's the same floor plan over and over and over again. Like up in Massachusetts, like in the Boston area, all around there, you have the triple deckers,
Right.
and it's three apartments. Sometimes the top two floors are joined, and then you have a space to rent out on the bottom, but it's three apartments, the triple deckers, all up in like I grew up in Brockton. We had tons of them. Brockton was the shoe city. That was the shoe capital of the world at one point. Um, so, and actually, Brockton was a big supplier of Union boots during the Civil War.
Okay.
Anyway, there you go. There's your little history thing.
So the next thing that happens doesn't really relate to Sara, so to speak, but it's related to Sara. Tabitha's talking to Ethan, right?
Oh, I thought we were just gonna finish.
Well, no,
Whatever.
I wanted to because it kind of relates to
Uh,
Sara.
yeah,
Okay. And I'm going to get back to that conversation in just a second. And he says to his mom, you have to face the scary things. That's how you take their power away.
yeah,
And because he wanted to go see Sara.
right.
And they're having this whole conversation, and beforehand she thinks they're crazy and whatever. So next thing you know, long story, um, they have that conversation, right?
Yeah,
And then Ethan, in only the way Simon / Ethan can do, says only monsters live in the woods. You must be a monster. You said they said you were dead, but you weren't. You lived in the woods, and basically, I don't like you. Get away. I
yeah.
mean, in
Well,
a
I'm not
kid's way.
afraid of you. I'm
I'm
not
not
afraid
afraid
of
of you,
you. Yeah,
and I love when Jim comes back and talks to Tabitha. The Chromonacle saves us again. Words of wisdom from the Chromonacle,
yeah,
and I just love that. So right now, Sara, no matter where she goes, she's hitting a wall.
well, yeah. I mean, she was essentially two-faced, and putting out this sweet and gentle thing, but in the background doing all these bad things. Which later on, Victor says to Jade, they make you do bad things. This place makes you do bad things, which is what happened to Sara. Sara didn't want to do that,
Right? No, no, no. I mean, she was
you know?
definitely had a gun to her head, so to speak. Then she's at the
Yeah.
church, and her and Elgin have a little conversation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think that was kind of it was a
It was
nice
illuminating.
yeah. I mean, they're all there for a reason. And you can't keep beating on Sara. You got to give her something.
Yeah.
And I mean, what was your thoughts on that conversation?
Well, it was interesting that Elgin came in there because there's something up with Elgin, with him having the dream. Somehow he's been touched. And so she's been touched by this place. So he comes in and he's looking for a church. He's looking for some comfort of some sort by going to something he knows and understands, because he would ride the bus, which was why he was on the bus. He would ride the bus to see his grandmother so that they could go to church every weekend. And he went with his grandmother every weekend. And he finds out from Sara that she's only been there a couple months. So everything that's happened to her has happened fairly quickly, and fairly quickly to Nathan also. You know, he was outie. And at first, he flirts with her. You know, like, I haven't seen you around Colony House, and you're someone I would remember seeing. You know, and so they start chit chatting, and she tells him, you know, like, he tells her about these owls that his grandmother used to make, and how why couldn't they make another animal, but it always had to be owls. And then this brings in the chit chat about the ornament, and how her and Nathan would go and buy these ornaments, and they would paint these ornaments. She never says what happens to all of them, but she does say that Nathan ends up having just one. And if he was going to rescue her from this awful situation she was in, why was he carrying that ornament around with him? And just FYI, that snowman ornament looked an awful lot like the two snowman ornaments I was talking about last night in the ghost stories. But anyway, so they're talking about that, and it's weird. He asks about the ornament, but he never asks about Nathan, because he's like zeroing in, trying to figure out if he can pick up the hottie. That's what I got, you know? And then she ends up telling him that she killed Nathan, and that he's going to hear all about it, you know, from everybody else. And he gets up, and it's like he leaves this Elgin shaped hole in the door as he's like getting out of there. He's like, check, please.
Look at the time. Gotta go.
And
so then Sara decides she's got to pay the piper, and she's got to go get her, get her stuff.
I don't know if it's paying the piper. I think it's just, it doesn't matter. She knows she's going to be meeting with resistance. She could have been hurt.
Right.
You know, she could have been hurt going into town amongst everybody. And as she's walking, like, people are looking at her. And she gets up to the diner, and she's standing there. And Kenny comes out of the diner, and she goes into the diner.
Right. They don't see each other.
Yeah. Thankfully, he doesn't see her. But Mrs. Lou sees her. And it's heartbreaking.
This was a great scene.
I know. And, just to point out, this is Liz Moy's first acting job. And she kills it, she tells Sara, I took care of you, and you took him from me.
Well, I have this quote right there. You take from me, you take him from me.
Yeah.
That's exactly what she says.
Yeah. And she said, you put hate in me. And Kenny has already said, my mom was pretty easygoing, like a loving person. Now she's crying every night. And Sara did that to them, and she brings the box of stuff, because she knows that's what Sarah's there for, is the box of stuff. Sara, it does not look like she's on an apology tour. Like, she's not like, I'm sorry. She's just like, I'm guilty. I've done this. I just want this ornament. And what I feel like is she just wants the ornament to take into the box with her.
Right.
She goes, and she encounters Kenny outside of the diner. And
can we notice something about Kenny? One is he's not wearing his normal outfit. He's wearing jeans and a white shirt.
Yeah.
And his jeans fit.
I didn't even notice because I was looking at the gun.
Yeah, no, I looked at those pants, and those pants were They fit. So only when he's a police officer or a deputy, he has pants that don't fit.
That's interesting because he could have worn jeans. I mean, that's what, unless Mrs. Lou was like, you need to look like an officer, you know.
Who knows?
But and she was probably proud of him and the whole thing. But like, I was like, wait a minute, he's not the deputy anymore, but he's still carrying around a gun, and the gun is only useful on other people and not the monsters. So I don't, what's the point unless it's some kind of security blanket type thing for him. Um, but he's a mess, you know. Oh, one thing about Mrs. Lou, when she goes in the back after she's given Sara the box and she knocks over all the pans, did she notice? Did you notice she did not knock over that tea kettle?
It's because she's ready to drug everybody.
Yeah. Well, she just made up a fresh batch.
A fresh batch of sunshine for everybody to be.
And I was looking for something last night before I went to bed because I was trying to go back to these characters I wanted to break out, and I was like, my memory will get jogged, right? So I'm like fast forwarding through the first 4 episodes, and there's Kenny taking everyone into the bus station. Come on in, not the bus station, the diner. Come on in, we'll get you some tea.
I'm telling you right now, I know, I know we have no pull on this show whatsoever, but
Yeah.
if they could even mock that storyline for like a line, it would make so many people so happy.
It would make me happy, but I swear to God,
somebody would
every
say,
time they mention it, I'm happy.
well, no, I'm just saying it would be great if they just said it's not like Mrs. Chen was drugging everybody. You know what I mean? Like in the middle of like one of those serious type of conversations.
I know. I don't know, but I made a note of that because I wanted to mention it. But
I'm telling you, we're all over the Chens between the tea and the pants.
Yeah, Tian Chen. The thing about it is that she's so mild mannered. She's so soft and gentle. For her to do that with those pans, it's remarkable. That it goes back to, Boyd being worried that if he tells Kenny the truth about his dad and about Sara, that Kenny will be broken. It's not just Kenny that's broken now. It's Kenny and his mom, Tian Chen. So that's scary, because they are broken. Meanwhile, Ethan's not broken. He has just taken on, like, I just took on a monster and you don't scare me. And that is the job of the Cromonacle, is to be like, you don't scare me, to break that down and take away that power. So Kenny dumps her box and goes right for the ornament because she picks it up.
She was trying to get it. Yeah.
She picks it up. She picks up the most cherished item out of that box, and Kenny sees that and takes it from her and smashes it. I don't think that he felt any better about it. He did let off some steam, but she was broken by that.
Well, I thought it was interesting. Like, if you're a new person on that bus and you see Kenny lose his crap like that, what the hell's going on in this place?
Yeah, but you don't know him like
no, but I mean, that's my point. No, that's my point. It's like, this guy was the deputy. Now he's not. Now he's breaking crap from some lady that murdered somebody. I mean, it's just like, that's too much. Like, what is going on in this place? I mean, I knew it was bad, but
yeah, I know. Like, I mean, you've just landed there the day before and you're seeing all this stuff going on. It's a lot, like, trying to figure that out. But what I noticed something kind of interesting. Like, I've done background work and I've had props and stuff handed to me and that sort of thing. So in the background at the diner, there is this couple standing there, and the guy has a salad spinner. They're getting ready. They're going into the diner, but he's holding a salad spinner. It was like, that is a weird thing to hold. And I was like, all right, I am going to make a note of it because supposedly everything means something, but I don't know if that salad spinner does.
I know exactly what it means.
What? At lunchtime?
That they have
Salad?
dry salad in Fromland.
Yeah, I just was like, it just kind of cracked me up when I saw the salad.
No, I get it. I totally get it. I mean, I'm all for everything having a meaning, but that's a little much.
Yeah. So then Elgin, who made the Elgin-shaped hole in the door at the church to get away, comes over and helps her. And I don't think that's Elgin flirting with her at all. I just think that that's Elgin being a nice guy.
It's just Elgin being Elgin.
Yeah. So he helps her, and she, and so they just pile everything in. And the weird thing was, I don't know what she did with that box, because when she's walking by Ethan, she's not holding that box. I don't know what she did.
No, because that was before. That was before.
What do you mean before? No, it's at the end of the episode. She's walking by Ethan. They've already had a conversation. It's at the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah, and then he gives her the stinky eye. Yeah.
Yeah, he gives her the stink eye. I love that little face. But the weird thing is, I mean, we'll talk about this. I think we need to talk about that whole montage. Let's save it. But anyway, can we go through Boyd?
Sure. What do you want to go?
I'm just going to start from the beginning. So the first thing that happens is the Matthews come in, right? Boyd is super pissed. I mean, the Matthews say their piece and they go on their way. But I think this is I can't remember when this conversation takes place. But it's a conversation it's not the conversation between Jim and Boyd outside. So it must have been in the church. Boyd is super pissed because Jim, getting everyone excited about that radio.
Yeah, I said that. I said that in the beginning.
I know, but let me go through this. Everyone getting excited about the radio, thinking they're going to go home, put the pressure on him because he made a big show of leaving so he could find answers, and he's come back without answers, but with Sara. So he's not doing so well. But he's also saying, I come back with no answers. There's 22 more people that I have to worry about, and we don't have the resources.
Oh, wait, by the way, I got a fucking house that fell into itself for no reason.
Yeah, that was next. The Matthews house fell for no reason. And he just wants to keep Sara to help him.
Right.
And then the question is, and I'm going to put this all over with Jim. When Jim comes up at the end of the episode to talk to Boyd, because, Boyd kind of unleashes, but they just say their piece to Sara and they're on their way. But Jim comes up because they're soured. But Jim comes up to Boyd and he says, when I looked at Sara, I didn't see a killer.
Right.
I saw a broken kid. And what happens to broken people? They don't make it here. And Sarah's ready to go into the box. I mean, I'm surprised Sara just hasn't walked into the woods and just left it at that. Maybe that's next episode. I don't know. But I think she kind of needs that satisfaction of going into the box.
I do.
Punishment.
During that same conversation, he says something else, and I have it posted. They push you to the edge. Maybe that's the point.
And yeah, because the thing that he delves into next is he starts telling him about what happened with the radio. Because in the earlier conversation, he doesn't have a chance to interject. He's not going to have that conversation for whatever reason in front of Tabitha. But he tells him that not only him, but Donna heard a voice on the radio as well. And it wasn't just that they heard the voice knew who he was, called him by name, and also knew what his wife was doing in the basement of the house. So Boyd is just looking at him like, I don't know what to make of all this. But then Tim mentions, he's like, you know, to that point, maybe the point is for everyone to be pushed to their edge, right? Because as going as far back as World War II, they did experiments on this. And I know, like, post World War II, at the beginning of the Cold War, I lost an uncle who was in the service at the time to nuclear tests out in the atoll islands. You know, he came home, like he got discharged right after that, and they sent him home. You know, he got discharged from medical leave, and he died driving his car, going to the movies with two friends. Just died at the wheel. My aunt was supposed to be in the car with him, but got a date at the last minute. So went on the date, but died from radiation poisoning. He was fine walking around, going to the movies, and just died. So there were experiments going on, people like the LSD, you know, the ultra experiments, right?
Right.
So at any rate, the going back to these, he mentions that, and he just says, the one thing I know is we have got to start working together. Remember,
thank God.
I know. Remember, we just had this conversation. Like, Fatima mentions to Elgin, hey, we've sat around and tried to figure this out, but we've never seen it. And I think I can understand not wanting to spend the screen time on it, but they can do it and bring out important points, you know?
Right.
So that is it. As far as that conversation, that concludes his time with the Matthews. But let's talk about Donna, because after the Matthews come into the church and confront Sara, Boyd puts on his jacket. He's on duty. And he says, I've got to get up and tell Donna, I've got to be the one that tells her that you are back. And he goes up to talk to Donna. And I love Donna's room a lot. And I'm looking at this house, right? Here we have all the factory houses in the town. And I think we've talked about this house before, that the house on the hill belongs to the boss.
Right.
Because they look down at the workers, right? And it's a house that clearly hasn't been updated in a while. So I love Donna's room. I love Donna, period. And the more people that reach out to me about this show, she is their number one.
Mm-hmm.
She is just their number one. Well, anyway, what I love is that she's no nonsense. She gets right to the point. She's like, it was your rule that if there was killing or some kind of infraction, serious infraction, people go into the box, and this girl is not in the box. And she says, you have taken away the one thing people have, which they need, is faith in you. And yes, you went out in the woods for answers, but came back with a psychopath.
And you betrayed faith in Boyd. You know, he betrayed the faith in Boyd. And I think that there's a lot to
bringing her back.
Well, yeah. And this world, you know, knowledge is power, just like everywhere else. And right now, you know, the perception is Boyd is unraveled, and he's the one person that can't be unraveled, even though he's the most unraveled.
I know. And she brings up an interesting point. And I think he was definitely going to be one of my characters that I wanted to pull out. She says to him, I don't think you went into the woods for answers. This is all about Abby.
Which
It does make some sense because Boyd is one of those people that believes he takes care of people, right? He's Mr. Fishes and Loaves, right? You don't become Mr. Fishes and Loaves because you don't give a shit about other people. It's because you want to provide for people. And she speaks to him quite point blankly and says, you didn't take care of her and you're carrying that guilt. Not only did you kill her, but because you didn't take care of her prior to that point, you are more responsible or responsible for more than just killing her. You let her down.
right.
You brought her to that point. And then it just makes me, it put me back in the hole with Martin and who threw the rope. It just, because like the second Boyd is done with Martin, he's outside. Like we don't see him really walking through a door.
No, he's
Just
just there.
outside, right? It just makes me think that none of that was real. That it was all in Boyd's head. And then here he is, like he's manifested two situations. He's manifested Martin and he's manifested Katri. I don't have an endpoint for this right now. I am just talking about this.
No, I get it. I mean, there's definitely some reflection that we have to kind of look at when you see the whole season and do that rewatch and kind of say, okay, this is what we know from the whole season. How does that relate? Because I was watching when we interviewed Sean, I went back to book 74, 73. And
No, it was book 74.
okay.
I was like, wait a minute, 73?
74.
What did I miss?
But my point being is, there's little Easter eggs in there that are definitely worth looking at now that you've seen what we've seen so far. You
Yeah.
can look at it at a different lens, which is great. So I
Yeah.
really, and what we're doing, just so the listeners know, is I'm starting to put a lot of the older episodes on YouTube. So I've put the first couple episodes by the time this is aired.
Our episodes. Our podcast episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, our podcast. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I said that. Our podcast episodes. So we're by the end of the season, both 1 and 2 will be up on YouTube as well as the podcast feed. And I got to tell you, on a side note, people are eating it up. I mean, in terms of they're watching it, they're viewing it. So there is a lot of interest in that first season, that first episode, and it's great because there are a lot of Easter eggs in this whole show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you done with Boyd, or do you want to get to Victor?
I'm almost there.
Okay.
I'm just, like she says to him, I'm not going to support you on this Sara thing. You're in this alone. But then at the end of that conversation, he's saying, do I have your support? And she's like, not really answering, but she's like, you need to go talk to Jan Chen.
Yeah, what did she say when you told her she was back? That's exactly what she said. She's like, what did Tin Shin say when you told her that she was back? Well, no, exactly. Why don't you go see her and then we can talk.
Yeah,
and that's why I put.
That's fair.
But that's why I put in there, is Boyd talking to Donna, or is Donna telling Boyd? Because the fact is,
Donna telling anybody.
No, I think Donna was telling him. I think he was getting a listening to, because she was pissed. She was pissed because he didn't make decisions in her eyes, and he's handled this whole Sara thing wrong.
He has, like, the fact that I mean, it was a secret between him and Katri. Katri's dead. And
And
she
I love how
said,
they
forget
throw that.
about him. He's dead now.
I know that's bullshit, though.
What?
No, Donna said that too, and Katri said that in his dream. Well, I'm dead now. Don't go over the dead. Well, it kind of relates to what's going on
Well,
here.
he did not make the decision alone. That's the point. He made
Right.
the decision with Katri. Katri was the first one to keep a secret. To keep the secret that he had Sara, and then he went to Boyd and said, this is why we need to keep her here, because she has a line of communication, and the thing about it, I think Donna is also seeing Boyd unraveling a little bit, and it's almost a he said, because Katri's not there to back him up,
Well,
so
also Donna's in a better place than she was last episode. She was on
yeah.
the unraveling block, and now it's Boyd who's on the unraveling block.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, let's switch over to Jade and Victor, which I love. I love this pairing because some people would see Victor as broken, but he's not. Victor has an intellect and an experience that other characters don't have because of the length of time that he's been there. And Victor, this is the most vulnerable that we've seen Victor, and he's exposing himself to Jade, who can be so cruel at times because Jade doesn't know how.
He has no filter.
He has no filter. He doesn't. He just reacts sometimes without thinking who he's talking to, But Jade is also losing his mind. Okay, so we open. Jade has now moved into the bar, which makes him happy because he's the only one there, and the bar is closed down, right?
Well, yeah, after
because
last
Tom
night.
is dead.
And plus he drank all the booze. So.
Well, he's drinking it, unless other people come in and grab some, he's drinking it. And I just, I guess I figured Tom was living in the bar, but I just didn't think about Tom having a bed there. It looks like a cozy little place to be. Anyway, so he's sleeping at the bar, and he can hear the screeching outside, which is the nightly thing, right? Because Randall's hearing the same screeching in the bus, and he looks at the picture that has the guy with Victor in the background.
Yeah, holding the book.
And then all of a sudden, the guy holding the book is standing in front of him.
And then blood comes out of the pages.
Well, yeah, and it's weird because every time he sees that symbol, there's always blood associated with it. He doesn't just see the symbol, there's blood. So it's a matter of, what is that trying to say?
And to the point where Jade decides to recreate it in empty bottles in the bar.
And you know what that reminded me of? Because there's 2 Close Encounter of the Third Kind references, I think, in this episode.
Okay.
One of them is the Roy Neary building the devil's thing, right? He's so fixated on this shape that he starts building it in bottles.
Right.
And Roy Neary's so fixated that he drives his family out of the house and starts throwing crap from the outside into the house to build that devil's tower thing, and the blood, it's just, there's always blood associated with that symbol.
Right.
It's never a good thing, but also things are washed in blood, almost like giving it a wash, a stop, an end. So I don't know. It's just one of those things to put on the bulletin board. So then Victor shows up. Yeah, Victor shows up. and comments, "You don't look so good."
I love that.
You don't look so good, you know? And he wants to make a deal with Jade. I want you to play this, and I'll talk to you about the book. I'll tell you about the symbols, you know? And Jade's like, give me the violin. I'll play right now. And he's like, nope, got to go someplace. And, you know, Victor went off on Jade about the violin, and he went off without thinking. It was just an immediate reaction. Jade's always immediate reaction. And gosh, I you know, after watching this episode, I mean, we were supposed to be able to interview David Alpay this last week, and for whatever reason the schedule got changed. We didn't get to. But after watching this, it would be really nice to talk to the both of them at the same time, to just
Right.
talk about their interactions, you know, the character motivations and all of that during this episode. So, you know, Victor takes him to this car cemetery, and, you know, I don't know if you paused it, but before they start talking, I'm like, I pause it because you can see really old cars way off in the
Right.
background, you know, and there's like this barrier between those cars and then the cars up front, and all of those cars are like bleached out because
Mm-hmm.
those cars were mostly painted black back in the day, right?
Right.
I think it's only modern times with people fixing them
Well,
up.
Henry Ford, you could have any color you want as long as it's black.
Yeah, yeah. So there's all, you know, late, like early model cars, like 30s, 40s, something like that. And Victor makes the comment like there's even more of those cars than
Behind that, or there before I got there.
before I brought all these out here. And can you imagine like Victor being, you know, little 12-year-old Victor driving all the cars out there? Like, just like I couldn't stand to look at all those cars. And there was a lot of cars.
Yeah, it was a lot.
A lot. Way more than the number of houses we have been exposed to.
Absolutely. Well, like, back then they didn't have the talisman, so they were all underground or hiding in the woods.
No. But the thing was, when Victor got there, everyone was alive.
I know. I'm saying, yeah,
But
they didn't.
But the thing is, when the hunting started at some point, because Victor was exposed to it with his mom. Maybe those were cars that had been driven in and stopped, and those were left from people that had been killed. Maybe that's why there's so many.
I don't know.
Let's see. Let's see. So this is the second time we get a remark from Victor about the trees.
Yeah.
And he said, the trees are changing. It's strange.
And Jade is like, what do you mean? It's like it's strange. He didn't explain why.
Yeah, he didn't. It wasn't, of course, it wasn't a throwaway line. It was an observation. The trees, because like the last time Victor talked about the trees, he mentioned it to Ethan and he said they're moving.
Right.
And right after that, like Victor, didn't Ethan come out of Colony House because he saw the boy in white and ran into Victor?
And he was pacing. Measuring.
He was measuring the trees. So he goes over to his mom's station wagon. Wasn't he standing in front of his mother's station wagon when that picture was taken? Like walking by?
Might have been. It was in front of the diner, so yeah, it could have been.
Yeah. Okay. So, and he asks him to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Like, he doesn't even remember the name of the song.
The star that twinkles, star.
The star that twinkles, yeah. And so Jade plays it. It's beautiful. Like, it's not just a simple version. It's
well, no. What I love about that is Jade understands the gravity of the situation, and he realizes, and he always knew it. I think we all knew it. He's not dealing with a 50-year-old man. He's dealing with a kid. And he
I don't know that he does, but anyway, go
no, I
ahead.
think he does. No, I think he does. He looked at him and he's like, all right. I mean, I'm imagining what Jade is thinking. All right, this guy is getting all crazy about Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. We got Houston, we got a problem here. And I think that helped Jade to understand a little bit more about him, because
You're right. You're right.
and I think that he could relate to that because of his past of being a bandit.
I mean, because what was happening when we see Jade at the very beginning? He's soothing himself with alcohol. He's soothing himself, right?
Yep.
And all Victor wants, because Victor has been alone for like 30 some odd years without his mom to take care of him, right? To comfort him. He goes and gets on top of the car and he sits like he always did when his mom would
Crisscross
play.
applesauce,
Yeah.
and just listened and kind of
And
rocked
just
back
listened
and
to it.
forth.
Yeah. It
And
comforted him.
and after they were talking, they went away from the car because they went to Christopher's car, which you can talk about in a second. But when Victor got rattled, he held the car. He
Yeah.
put his hand
But
around.
he was rattled because Jade started yelling at
No,
him.
but I'm just saying though. But my point
But he
being
went
is
back.
he
Yeah.
went back as a security blanket, like that's home base.
Yeah.
And then
It's just,
Jade,
oh God, that hurt me so bad.
well, they end up going to Christopher's car, and he was asking him about Christopher, and he said, "Oh, he made people laugh. He did
People
all
like
these
him.
people liked him, and then all of a sudden he started changing, and he didn't say because he saw that symbol, but what Victor did say that is important to this whole story is we don't want to talk about this because when we start talking about it, bad things start happening."
Yeah. Don't ask so many questions. While Victor was sitting on top of the car, just his face, just going like what it was just like that whole little scene with Jade playing. Jade just goes to this peaceful place when he's playing, like where everything is beautiful. You can almost see the people waltzing,
Right.
you know, and he's at peace. Victor was at peace. Two characters that are under constant pain at peace. It was nice. But then I loved Victor just talking about Christopher through that whole thing, like who Christopher was and how Christopher changed and how Christopher, started, when everyone started to die when Christopher saw the symbol. It was the symbol. Something about that symbol started the killing. And then,
Supposedly.
yeah, so we don't know how long it was from Christopher being obsessed with that symbol until the night his mom says, I need you to find a place to hide that Christopher doesn't know about. So it was like Christopher knew where people were and possibly was communicating that information to the monsters. So the monsters knew where to go
We
find
think,
people.
who knows? I mean, it's through an eyes of a
Well,
13-year-old.
no, I
But
know. Like, this is what I'm trying to piece together. But she says to him, and why she doesn't go with Victor, I'm not exactly sure, but tells Victor to go hide someplace where no one knows, where Christopher doesn't know where it is. And he wakes up the next morning and absolutely everyone is dead. But why? What message did his mom, what information did his mom have about that coming night that she said that to him? Because we see the aftermath when Victor gets up that next morning and everyone is out on the street dead and he sees the boy in white for the first time.
I don't know. Yeah.
You know?
It's a good
Um,
question. It's a good question to put on the board.
yeah. Um, and he says, this is when he says, there's bad things here. They make people do bad things,
Right.
which points right back to Sara, you know? And I just have like highlighted my question in red, what must Jade be thinking when he sees this? Like,
Is he going to go crazy? Is he? And I'm like, there's a whole bunch of stuff because he said I'm going crazy. I can't sleep. I
yeah,
got to
I
get some
can't sleep.
answers.
And I'm seeing things, and he's at the end of the rope. Like, because, like, he flips out and he does his Jade screaming thing, which most people, not that they can just shake it off, but they're better equipped to shake it off. But this is like, he rattles Victor so much that Victor, his response is to go grab onto his mom's car. That's the blanket. And Jade realizes, like, I can't talk to him like this. They're both very sensitive intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
They both have that in common. Victor is the institutional memory. Jade is trying to put these pieces together. Jade's having visions. Jade is the new Christopher, possibly.
Possibly, yeah.
Because he's the one seeing those symbols. All right. So I think the last thing, we haven't talked about Christy and Marielle. We haven't talked about, I don't know. Do we need to talk about this? Because, like,
About
yeah,
what?
we need to talk about Tabitha.
Oh, yeah. No, yes, we do.
Let's talk about.
No, let's get through Tabitha because then
Okay.
once we
All
do,
right.
because I don't want to go back. So
Okay.
while this whole conversation is happening with Victor, Tabitha decides that she wants to go bring her puzzle out to the opening of the woods where she saw the
It's the cave opening that she
yeah.
and Victor escaped through and saw. Like, the first time they saw that structure, that block structure, was inside the caves. Then there's another one outside the caves. And
And
we didn't realize, like, I didn't realize she had taken it from there.
she didn't take it from there. She took it from Ethan. Ethan
No,
had
no,
it.
no, no. Like, to begin with, I think she took it from there and brought it home.
No, she didn't. Ethan got it in in the closet.
What closet?
When he was looking through the toys, he's like, "Mom, look at what I got." And he put it all together. He's like, "I almost got this." And that's when she looked and she saw the two kids on the porch.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because she brought it back and set it up. It wasn't like there were
She
two
took
of
it
them
from the
there.
porch and brought it out to
Yeah,
there.
I know. She brought it back. She brought it to the cave. When they came out of the cave, there was one there.
Hey, I'm just telling you what.
I know.
Unless
Well, what I'm saying,
unless there was just one there and it was broken down because they might have hit it and she just redid it. I don't know. But
no,
anyway, the
she
long
put
and
it
the
in the
short,
box and brought it back out there.
regardless of that,
All right, but anyway, so she sets it up and then she says, "I'm here. I'm here." And then all of these kids start coming out of the
and they
woods.
start saying this word.
Ankui, Ankui.
Now, I don't know what it means, but
I don't either. And I looked it up and, because
nothing.
it sounds like Ankh. Ankh is an Egyptian symbol, but it's not spelled like that. And we only have this spelling from closed captioning. It
Right.
doesn't mean that it's spelled correctly. And I didn't have time to go back and look at Ankhs. But at any rate, one thing that I concluded, because we've only seen the two girls, right? One of which looks like Chloe Savigny. I was
Okay.
like, but anyway, we've only seen the two girls and it's the same two girls, right?
Right.
But here we have a collection of little kids, male and female. They're all in their pajamas. That's what I concluded. Because we had more of a sample than just two, they're all in their pajamas. And they descend upon her. Their eyes are black. One of them has red rimmed eyes, and they're filthy, and they're touching her, and she's saying, "Don't touch me, don't touch me." And Jade shows up.
And there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
And he's looking at her like, what's your problem? And coming from the guy that's seeing blood every time he, you know.
He's not, he doesn't, like, perhaps in the next episode, there's a conversation, and no, I did not go ahead, so I don't know. That's why I said perhaps. In the next episode, maybe they have a conversation about seeing things. I don't think Jade would be too shy about saying, "I'm seeing things." I mean, he told Victor that, but I don't think he'd be too shy about telling Tabitha.
Right.
All right. So on to Christy and Marielle, which will allow me to go on to my last point. So they're having a lovely day in bed. And Mrs. Christy brings Mrs. Lou bread crisps to have Marielle,
right,
taste test them, and they like them. And then Marielle shows her the T-shirt that Sara would always wear, and she had not washed it since, and it went from having Christy's stink on it to having Marielle's stink on it. And so that she cuts her hair, and after she finishes cutting the hair, what it was is the hairstyle that Chloe, the actress that plays Christy, Chloe has on the premiere, because she did her bangs a special way.
Right.
And so this is, this was the haircut she was rocking. So anyway, this is when Tilly comes in.
I love Tilly.
Tilly is raising red flags, major red flags for me. So do you remember Quincy, MD?
I do. Oh no,
God, I love that show.
I mean, I love the reference, because it's such an old reference that you wouldn't, unless you're of a certain age, you wouldn't have known what it was.
You wouldn't have known. Yeah. So if you are probably, I would say the cutoff would be 50. If you are, how old are you?
I'm 51.
You're 51. I would say the cutoff would be 50, because I was like in my teens when I was watching this show. I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. It was Jack Klugman, and he played a coroner, or a medical, what do you call it? The medical examiner.
MA.
And he would solve crimes. And I loved that show. And you know what? There's a station that plays it that we could still watch it. So it's totally fitting that Tilly would come in and say, "You are the resident Quincy."
Right. No, it was great. And so they're cutting each other's hair or whatever. She's cutting Christy's hair, and Christy looks at the bottle and she's like, "What do you have this for?"
Yeah.
And she realizes that she has cancer.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Liquid morphine." And all of a sudden,
notice Marielle.
Bing, 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 bing. Now, I know you said in last episode, it wasn't just a throwaway episode. I mean, with her
throwaway scene.
You know what, though? I mean, okay, fine, but she is a nurse. So
no, she is a nurse, and that's the thing. Like, my whole thing was, why did they use that scene? Because it didn't seem to have any importance until you got to this episode.
Right? No, I get it. I'm just saying, it's just
a lot. Unfortunately, with the access to medicines, our healthcare workers often.
Oh yeah, no, there's tons of nurses that are drug addicts.
I mean, look at Nurse Jackie, that show, but Tilly caught the look from Marielle, and this is why I have red flags on Tilly.
But see, the thing about Tilly is she told Christy about Sara, and then next thing you know, Christy's ready to go.
Running out. Yeah. Christy's running out.
And then we have that whole Christy guilt.
Yeah.
On two levels.
Yeah.
One is, am I still the same person that loves my fiance after being through this? And two, the
I
whole
gave her the permission
right to
and the
kill.
blade. Like I left a scalpel out, and that's what she killed Nathan with, what she was going to kill Ethan with. But I felt bad because, I mean, we've all, I think, been asked a question, like a moral question like that. What would you do? And a lot of times, like most of the times, it's just, you're just sitting around shooting the shit,
Yeah, you don't know.
getting to know someone. And she was having a girls' night with Sara, like they were just talking.
Right.
She didn't think that, because like there's Christy. What wouldn't I do to get back to Marielle?
Right.
Right.
No, absolutely.
Um,
Um,
so
I love the last scene of the show.
wait a minute. Are you going ahead to Candy Colored Clown?
Yes.
I just want to finish Tilly.
Please
Okay.
finish, Tilly.
All right. So I've said there's something about Tilly more than once in this episode, since we've been discussing it, right? So I went back and I was trying to find things to back myself up, okay? Because it's like she shows up, says some stuff, and sets characters into motion, right? So in episode 1, the most I could really figure out, she's just doing that crazy rain dance, looking like, a mental patient on top of a mountaintop, right? Well, anyways, episode 2, she soothes an hysterical Julie, and she's putting her hands on Julie, and I don't know if she's like just trying to make Julie. I'm just assuming she's comforting her, right? Episode 3, she comes into the hospital. Jim's on the chair, right? And she's looking for Christy. And she says, "You're the guy that was stuck under the house, with Brick." And she talks about racetracks. We're thinking that we're going to get some information. But she gives Jim a piece of information. Did you know that Christy's fiance showed up on the bus? Right? And Jim's like, that's some crazy info, right? In the next episode, episode 4, she meets Boyd, and then she's like, you had an adventure, right? And then he tells him that Kenny's headed toward the hospital, right? She gives him information about other people. She sets him into motion. This one was the weirdest yet. She brings in the morphine. She apologizes for interrupting the afternoon, and then alerts them about Sara. Like she's like a gossip, but her gossip is very intentional, and she gets them moving, right? Because then, Christy's like, I got to get out of there. Okay. There's something about Tilly. It's not just some busybody older lady. There's something about her. I don't think she has cancer. I think she's in there to take Marielle out of the picture, knowing that Marielle is an addict. He doesn't need that. There's more to this picture. That's all I want to say. All right. Then we go back to Boyd stepping into the diner, right? The second he steps in there, Candy Colored Clown starts playing, Roy Orbison, right? And the song.
Here, I have the lyrics.
Right? And it's, in dreams, I talk with you. In dreams, I walk with you, right? So it goes through a montage. We start with Boyd in the diner. Then we go to Christy putting on the t-shirt, looking at herself in the mirror with the haircut, and Christy becoming herself. Maybe the whole point was for Marielle to bring that t-shirt to her. Maybe there's something about Gearhart trucking. I don't know. There's just something where Christy has to return to herself. Then Marielle with the morphine. That morphine's going to take her down. Ethan is playing with the blocks again. So somehow the blocks end up back at the house. Or maybe she didn't bring them out. Maybe she just set them up. I don't know. But the blocks, he's playing with the blocks. And there comes Sara walking down the street, presumably back from the diner.
And this was the line. This was the line. But just before the dawn, I wake and I find you gone. I can't help it. I can't help if I cry. Remember that you say goodbye.
Goodbye. Right. And Ethan's giving her the stink eye, but she starts to smile at him. Why would she smile at him? Like, other than the original Sara being on the surface or being like, oh, there's a little boy that I like, you know? But she starts to smile. He gives her the stink eye, and then she just frowns and continues walking. Then there's Randall whittling on top of the bus. Then we're back to Boyd. Mrs. Lou comes in and he says, hi, I was hoping we could talk. And I felt like there was something about that line. I know it sounds innocuous.
Everything's innocuous.
But it's not. It's just not.
Well, we'll have to find out. I mean,
no, I know. It felt like that line was heavier than just saying, because how often do you and I call each other, and we need
exactly.
Right?
Right.
And usually if one of us is saying that, we have big news for the other one.
Right. Do you have any other notes, my dear?
That was it. That nails all of them.
All right. One piece of feedback from Steve. So let's hear what he has to say. And I think this is about episode 3. I'm not sure.
All right. Here we go. What WTF is from. This is Steve, and here's episode 3. Ellis always had this crazy necklace around his neck. Or is this a first we've seen? This pendant or whatever it is. How Boyd is back, and he is serious to this guy. Yeah, if you want to... You take your rifle out in the woods and see how long you last. If you want a roof, you follow my rules. Aw, mothers help together. Wait a minute. Music coming from somewhere. Ooh, she's impaled to the tree. Oh, and she's alive. Jade, I think this is Victor's home. Okay, this isn't Sara. This is Kelly. This is one of the people from the bus. Gotcha. You ask a lot of questions. Don't remember the father's name. I don't know why it's escaping me, but he's getting a whole lot of information all of a sudden. Have we heard this before about people having dreams, premonitions, and nightmares and visions, but not everybody having them? I don't know. Fatima's telling this kid this, and I don't know. I don't remember. Wow, this is a very tense dilemma. And is it a branch, or is it some kind of a spike that's through her head? Because maybe they could cut it and move her. I don't know. Okay, I think now we know why Kenny is always in pants that are too short for him or too long for him, because they just have to go through this old clothes to get something to wear. Oh, creepy children vision. That's not a good thing. Well, I don't know who this actress is, but the screaming is like, she sounds really real. Like, and I can't believe Boyd's about to pull this thing out. Oh, he just set up the same puzzle that she knocked over in the cave, and there's the creepy kids again.
Thank you so much, Steve. I know you have some more feedback from another listener. Liz?
Yeah. All right. So then there's an email from Taryn Matharu, and it's a fan theory. Hi, guys. First off, I just want to say that I watch all the cast interviews, listen to all the podcasts, and your podcast is absolutely my favorite by far.
Well, we think so too.
Thank you so much for saying that. That really makes us happy because we want to have a good podcast. My name is Taryn Matharu, and I'm an author by trade. Ooh, I'm not an author by trade, but I am an author. And I've been obsessed with From since it came out. I was wondering if you guys were at all interested in doing the occasional fan theory episode. I think we probably should. We have talked about it.
Sure.
I'd love to talk about a theory I have just for fun. And there's a link from Reddit, which I am so not a Reddit person. I don't get it. But he sends us this link, and it's called A Witch's Deal with the Devil in the Age of Discovery to Save Her Twins. And he says, no worries. If not, I just wanted to say, keep up the good work. Watching your episode breakdowns is one of my fave things to do. Each time an episode airs, you guys rock. Best wishes, Taryn. That was really a nice email to get. And that's all I have.
I thought I sent you the points one.
Oh, let me see. Did you send it? Let me go
on Facebook Messenger.
Oh, on Facebook. Let me see. I'll go there right now.
I think it was Maureen. I think her name was
Maureen. That's ringing a bell. I do believe you did, and I just have to scroll a minute if that's okay.
So that being said, folks.
Here it is. Yeah. I did want to talk about this. So Maureen wrote to us. Alex and Lizzie said she didn't post this week's podcast episode, which maybe we just crossed paths. Hope you're good with me putting this question request under the interview post. Hoping you can clarify the maths, which tells me she could be from Europe. We don't know the starting population, so going with additions and subtractions. Episode 1 and 2 lost the Pratt family, which is -3, gained the Matthews family, which is +4, +1. Not going to count Toby because, well, we know. All right. Oh, but that we need to add Jade to that. So that's a +2. So clinic -2. Then few episodes later, Nathan -1. Sara hasn't really been in town, so their house should be available, right? And then episode 8, they said -14 people lost the night of the colony massacre. Then Eric's suicide at Boyd's office. The bus brings in 21, but I thought the number was 22. And I don't know how many died in addition to 2 in Jim's house, but 2 on the bus, 2 Kelly and boyfriend, -27, +26. But not sure I'm missing. I think I'd have to sit and go by this go through the math. But the thing about it is, like, especially in this last episode, we're seeing a lot of people that we don't necessarily interact with walking around. And then in previous episodes, we are, there's background people. There's a lot of background people that they have walking up and down the streets. So we don't have a good count of how many people are in the town at all. But it is interesting, Maureen, to kind of keep a tally of these things that are going on with the population. So anyway, that's all I have.
Okay. And folks, again, if you could subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. If you could help us in any way, shape, or form by just clicking on that, we'd really appreciate it, because it could really help find our our YouTube channel a little bit easier. And again, if you want to give us a review, we'd love 5-star reviews. It just really helps find us. And I know we're the only one really podcasting on it. There are some other people that are covering it, but we're the only ones, I think, exclusively podcasting on it.
Or breaking down the episodes, really.
Yeah.
Like in depth. I mean, we're just from. That's all we're
just from. That said, next week we're going to be looking at season 2, episode 6. How do you say that right?
Pas de deux.
Exactly.
Duh.
And bring it back to the music box. And folks, if you want to leave feedback, you always are welcome to. You can go to podcastica.com. You can check out some of the other shows. They're just starting up the Power. They're still doing Mrs. Maisel. I know we're going to be starting some Walking Dead stuff with New City. So there's a whole bunch of Dead City.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. I appreciate you clarifying that. and like I said, there's a lot of great stuff on there, and if you have a chance, why don't you try to take a look at It's a Fandom Thing podcast. We were on there last night, and Erin is a trip. She let
Yeah,
us
that's
kind
great.
of let us hijack her hour, or I should say I hijacked her hour, because I never overtalk anybody. And she's great, and she does a lot of different stuff. Tonight, when this airs, I'm going to be doing Yellow Jackets after show. So I've got Sydney and Archmeister Rennie with me, and we've got this episode and next week, and then that is done for the season. So a lot of great TV going on. And yes, despite the person to my right, probably your left, I will have the Etsy shop up this week, and we will have that in the Instagram and as well as TikTok and all that good stuff. And I'll probably make a post on it as well, because we're going to try to make some of the
Sunday
is from day, and
you'll be able to get that.
You'll be able to get that. You'll be able to get all of
family bracelet with your name on it if you want, or a character name, or a from bracelet where you're from, but when you ended up in from.
And hopefully the male podcast host will get his act together to get that all straightened out this week. And it will be. No, it will be. It's just I had a little bit of a delay. But anyway, I want to thank you, Lizzie, and I also want to again thank Sam from Boston for pledging his support. And
her, it's Samantha.
Oh, so was Sam.
I know, it does feel nice to be believed in.
It's also nice that people actually do listen and leave comments, which they've been doing this whole time. So stay safe together, and Ian, take us away.
Get you home. Let's go. Come on, get in your house. Let's go. Come on.